Yo, what you lot saying? This your boy, and today what I've got for you is the 2015 Belgian Grand Prix review for you guys. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. And before I start the Q&A, I did promise you it will be coming before the break. Sorry about that. It will come out next week, I promise. Hopefully, fingers crossed. If you send me any questions on Twitter using the hashtag Java2K15Summer, it's down below, so yeah. And yeah, send me in questions. I'm going to soon look at them. If I don't get any, I'll just make them up myself, so yeah. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So, we'll start off in practice. And basically, we had an incident in practice 1, and that was Maldonado crashing into the wall quite heavily. And yeah, that will be the end of his session there. So he was okay after that, so that's good to see. Then in P2, we saw Rosberg have a tyre blowout, a very spectacular tyre blowout, which started with threads coming out of the tyre, coming down Kemmel. So yeah, very, very weird to be honest, but mind you, he'd been running 11 laps in those, so maybe like something to do with the tyre wear or something like that, I don't know. So yeah. Also, we had an incident between Daniel Ricciardo and Nazia. Danny Kvyat, sorry about that. Danny Kvyat and Nazia. I believe Nazia, I'm not entirely sure. It was a sour, so yeah. Apologies if I don't know which drive it was. Basically, Danny Kvyat almost ran into the side of the Sauber as he came down the pits. And yeah, I think, to be honest, the Red Bull mechanic who was out in the garage telling Kvyat when to come out on the track should have been a bit more careful, should have looked around a bit just to make sure everything was good. Yeah, and I think that's what all the mechanics, you know, when they go out on the when they go out of the garage to tell the driver when to come out, to maybe look carefully, maybe even pay attention more about their surroundings, just to make sure these kind of things don't happen. So yeah. So it was investigated, but then there was no penalty. So yeah, a bit surprised to be honest. I mean, it should have been really a slap on the wrist or a fine or something like that. So yeah, we don't really want to have that, to be honest, because what if they do collide? You know, that bits of carbon fibre could go in the pit wall. So yeah, just not something we want. So yeah. We also had a scare for Daniel Ricciardo, who almost went into the wall there, coming out of Radion, out of Eau Rouge. Basically, the car went sideways coming out of Radion and almost hit the wall there. So very lucky escape for Daniel Ricciardo there. So yeah. And then moving into qualifying Q1, not much really happened. The McLarens were out of Q1, unfortunately, but mind you, this is one of their weakest circuits, another being Monza as well, so yeah, just not there that weekend, to be honest, I think, and it will probably be the same in Monza as well, so yeah. Also, Nazia was out of Q1. Oh yeah, as well, for the McLarens, they would start from the back because of a gearbox change, so yeah. For Nazia, he was out, but I think he started 15th or 16th, I'm not entirely sure, due to a certain number of grid penalties, so yeah. In Q2, we saw Kimi Raikkonen pull off on the side of the road. His car let him go, and as a result would start 16th, which I believe would be 14th because of, like I said, gearbox penalties, so yeah. Verstappen didn't go out, which kind of was a bit miffed me, to be honest, because you would think that Verstappen would go out. You know, he ran in Q1 all right, you know, no problems whatsoever, and to not run in Q2, not to run in qualifying, the rest of qualifying, very, very baffling, to be honest. So yeah, he would start 15th. No, he would start 17th, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. It's very, very confusing because of these grid penalties. all around the grid. So yeah. But then into Q3, the battle between the Mercedes was on. Hamilton putting down a corker of a lap time, a few tenths quicker than Rosberg. Rosberg in practice really was blitzing Hamilton. Really, Hamilton had no answer. He was only a few tenths down off Rosberg in practice, but for Hamilton to turn the tables was fantastic, but it wasn't over yet because they still had one run to go. And on that last run, Hamilton pushed and he found he found a couple of tenths, and as a result got onto pole. Rosberg tried, but just couldn't find that time that Hamilton was able to find, and as a result had to settle for second place there. So unfortunate for Rosberg, but that's racing, and congrats to Lewis. Really hooked that lap up and really turned the tables between Rosberg and himself there. So yeah. Third was Bottas, good drive by him. Fourth was Perez. Surprisingly, to be honest, surprised to be honest. You know, wouldn't expect a Force India to be right up there, to be honest. But yeah, it has. I've been hearing that the Force India is quite quick in a straight line, so yeah, if that's the case, that's fine. And Force India have had a good history as well around this track. I mean, what with their second place in 2009 there, being beaten by Raikkonen as Giancarlo got passed by Raikkonen down into Kemmel in the first few laps. So yeah, so Force India have had a good history around this track. So yeah. Grosjean was fifth, but then he had I think he had a gearbox penalty, so that would drop into 15th. As well too, Ricciardo moved up into 5th as a result. Vettel qualified 9th, but because of that penalty, moved up into 8th. So yeah, his qualifying didn't go well for him. Surprised, to be honest. I mean, you would presume that Vettel be right up there, right with the Mercedes, to be honest, but in that when it mattered, he could not hook it up and he could not get that lap time that he needed. So as a result, would start 8th place. So he would have to work his way up the field to get to the Mercedes. So yeah. So moving into the race, this was it. This was the first race that these drivers were going to be doing that was by themselves. Before, it was where the engineers would tell them what to do, but this time it is by themselves. And on that, as they came into the formation, as they were doing their formation lap, team radio for Hulkenberg. Basically, the team told Hulkenberg to put it in the pits. Basically, probably to retire or to see what was up with his car, to maybe see if they can get back going and maybe give him a good pit lane start. But no, he carried on. The team told him to carry on and take the start. And as they were about to start, Hulkenberg couldn't get. Hulkenberg was waving his arms, waving his arms up in the air, saying to the marshals that the car couldn't get going. So as a result, he would have to put it. As a result, the team put it back in the pits. And yeah, I think afterwards he got back, and then I think afterwards he retired from the race. So yeah, unfortunate for him there. Also, Sainz went into the pit lane as well before. Well, that was on the second formation lap, because after that there was an aborted start, so that meant they had to do an extra formation lap. So as a result, on the end of it, Sainz went into the pits because of engine-related problems. So yeah, so. At the start, it was a good start for Lewis Hamilton. Rosberg had a pretty bad start. He dropped to 5th place, and also Perez got an amazing start. Moved himself up into 2nd place and had a great run on Lewis Hamilton there in the slipstream, coming out of Radion. And down into Kemmel, they went side by side. Perez almost in the lead of the race, but had to concede because of Lewis Hamilton being on the racing line there. So yeah, he had to settle for 2nd place there. We also saw Vettel moving himself up into 6th place and really attacking on Rosberg and Bottas, Rosberg and Rosberg, as Rosberg was closing in on Bottas. Rosberg closing in on Bottas. I think he made a move going to the last source. Bottas ran wide as a result, and as a result, Vettel got ahead of Bottas to take 5th place there. So yeah, good move by Vettel there. And after the first pit stops, we saw Bottas have a little bit of issues. Apparently, one of the tyres that he was running with wasn't the correct colour. It wasn't the correct colour of the rest of the tyres. You know, the 3 tyres were all yellow. The 4th one, which was the rear right, was white, so as a result had a penalty. Very surprising, to be honest. You know, you would assume the team would have checked to make sure that all the tyres were on the correct colour, but nope, wasn't the case. So yeah, as a result, Bottas had to take a drive through. Very fair, very fair, to be honest, because this is it's very illegal, to be honest. You know, in the rules. The FIA don't like the drivers don't like the teams or the drivers doing that kind of thing. So yeah, as a result, there was a drive through penalty for Bottas. Yeah, very deserving, to be honest. So yeah. Also, we saw after the first pit stops, Ricciardo undercutting Perez there. So Ricciardo taking 2nd place off Perez. And also, Grosjean got past the 2 Williamses to move himself up into 4th place there. So yep. Also, I believe Rosberg was able to pass a few cars as well, and as a result was up into 2nd place. So yep. Also, we saw a problem for Ricciardo as he was. I think he was basically trying to get by Perez there, and as he was coming into the bus stop, his engine sort of. His hydraulics, it was a hydraulics problem which made Ricciardo retire from the race, and as a result the virtual safety car was out, and it was only out for a few minutes, and a few cars went into the pits, and as it ended, Hamilton complained very heavily about Rosberg closing the gap on him. Because of after that virtual safety car. And what I've got to say about that, I mean, Rosberg, it depends on when it ends. You know, it depends on where you are when it ends, to be honest, because you know, Rosberg could be coming down the pit straight, and Lewis could be coming into last source, trying getting the power down and all that. So yeah, I think, you know, it could be something to do, you know, with that, you know. So yeah, I think Lewis has got to realise that it's not going to be the exact same, to be honest, because at the end of the day, these drivers are driving to a certain lap time, so that the drivers are not gaining too much of an advantage. So yeah, and I think what they should do to make it a bit more fairer is to have something that the World Endurance Championship are using, which is sort of like a speed limit thing, where you go to a certain speed through the virtual safety car, so that it is a bit more fairer. I mean, it would be much better, to be honest, because it would really make the field more. I would say make the field more fair in terms of the gaps and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Maybe an idea in the future, maybe an idea that could be used further down the line. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So yeah, that's just an idea, that's just a thought I have in my mind, so yeah. But yeah, so that happened, and then afterwards, Grosjean, who was one of the guys who pitted in the virtual safety car, was closing a lot on Vettel, who, by the way, Vettel did a 1 stop, so he, as a result, was in 3rd. And as they came out of Radion with 2 laps remaining, Vettel had a tyre blowout, and as a result was pretty much out of contention for points, and dropped to the 11th or 12th, and we finished 11th and 11th place. So yeah, unfortunate for Vettel. I think a very risky decision by the Ferrari crew, a very creative decision, I would say, but unfortunately didn't pay off for the team, and as a result their main man who was gunning for the World Championship, was out of the points. So yeah, unfortunate. So that meant that in the end, it was Lewis Hamilton who picked up the win. He's 38th, I believe, this in his career, so good drive by him. Second was Nico Rosberg. Good drive, good comeback from the bad start at the start of the race. So yeah, and Grosjean, third place, a great result for the team. You know, especially as they've been currently having problems. I think financially, apparently their team is like impounded or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but yeah, it's nice to see the team get a podium, to be honest. I think they haven't had a podium in a while, so that's good to see them finally on the podium. So yep, fourth I think was Perez, I believe, so good drive by him. No, fourth was Ricardo, no, fourth was fourth was, I don't know, fifth was Perez, I don't know who was fourth. Fifth was Perez. Good drive by him, especially at the start, him having a go at Hamilton there. Imagine if he actually did, to be honest. I mean, that would have been insane, to be honest. But he didn't, and as a result, finished in fifth. Good result, picking up a lot of points for the team. So yeah. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit the like button below. Subscribe if you're new, and you also get next. Boy, I am out. Peace.